Dear students and all others, I am really grateful and thankful to Dr. Padmanabh Rao Garu and his daughter, Srimati Shailaja Garu, for giving this opportunity to speak to you on this topic today. We have been talking or interacting on several aspects of the amendment of the Constitution of India several times. And today we will be again dealing with important amendments of the Constitution, especially to understand an in-depth overview of the major amendments brought into the Indian Constitution so far, and 42nd and 44th Amendment, especially the cause and reason about why 44th Amendment was necessitated and compelled the then Janata government to make it, and why we call 42nd Amendment as mini constitution. We know that Article 368 of the Constitution of India deals with the process of amendment in the Constitution. What are the important reasons in which scenarios an amendment is required to be made in the Constitution and when they are valid? We know about the basic structure of the Indian Constitution, which can't be amended in any case except when necessary. So we must also have an understanding about when an amendment can be done in the Constitution.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Please continue.
When amendments can be done in the Constitution and what are the important amendments brought at so far in the Indian Constitution. We know that the Constitution of India is both rigid and flexible, meaning it is hard to amend but virtually flexible. Article 368 of the Constitution empowers the Parliament to amend it and its procedures except the basic structure of the Constitution. Major amendments can be made by a simple majority or through a larger majority. And after passing in the Parliament, that is both houses of the Parliament, it has to be submitted before the President for his or her assent. So Indian Constitution has been amended more than 100 times since 1950, when we got independence, and presently 450 articles and 12 schedules are there. With all this, we can go directly to some of the important amendments, out of which 42nd Amendment and 44 Amendment, which are really can be said as making a mini constitution, and then again amendment 44th Amendment Act, bringing significant changes in the Constitution. What is 42nd Amendment? We discussed last time. Again, we will have a small discussion on this. 42nd Amendment was one of the major amendments brought in the Constitution, and it made many good changes and calling it as a mini constitution. The first amendment of the 42nd Amendment, first amendment is, it added socialist, secular, and integrity as additional terms in the preamble. It also added Part 4A in the Constitution entitled as fundamental duties for the citizens. Then Chapter 14A for administrative tribunals and tribunals for other matters. Other important amendment is making the President of India to be bound by the Cabinet's advice. This is very important amendment, giving no discretion or chance for the President of India to differ with the decision or advice of the Cabinet. Another amendment is, it made the constitutional amendments beyond judicial review. Why this amendment is made? The other day we discussed about independence of the judiciary and the decisions of Honorable Allahabad High Court of Justice Sinha and Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court of the decision of Justice Krishna Iyer. So, the power of judicial review to the courts is taken away. The constitutional amendments are made beyond the judicial review. Then it has frozen the seats in the Lok Sabha and the Legislative Assembly till 2001 on the basis of 1971 census concerning as population controlling measure. Then it curtailed the power of the Supreme Court and High Courts on judicial review and writ jurisdiction. And it added in the new directive principles, 3 new directive principles. What are they? Equal justice and free legal aid, the participation of the workers in the management of industries, and protection of the environment, forest, and wildlife. These subjects or principles are made as the directive principles through this 42nd Amendment. We'll discuss at a little later stage, just as a remembrance to us about why this 42nd Amendment is taken place. Then we have got 43rd Amendment. It is also in 1977. This amendment restored the jurisdiction of the Apex Court and High Courts pertaining to judicial review and issue of prerogative writs, which was taken away with the 42nd Amendment. It further deprived the Parliament of its special powers to enact laws regarding anti-national activities. These 2 amendments are important, which are made in 43rd Amendment in 1977. Then an important amendment is 44th Amendment. The 44th Amendment Act is considered very important as it brought many significant changes in the Constitution. What are those many significant changes? Just we'll see. It substituted the term internal disturbance with armed rebellion in respect of national emergency. So, Mrs. Gandhi made a ground internal disturbance as one of the ground for imposing national emergency. Janata government removed that word internal disturbance and amended the constitution and inserted armed rebellion. So if there is armed rebellion, then national emergency can be imposed, but not internal disturbance. Then it also made another amendment, that is the act made the president declare a national emergency only based on the written recommendation of the cabinet. Previously, during emergency with the amendment, we discussed that President of India is at last, he just informed about the imposition of national emergency, even without the knowledge of the cabinet, the recommendation is made to President of India, because Mrs. Gandhi was the leader who was having lot of support both in the parliament, that is Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and also in majority of the states. Then that is amended. Then another amendment is that fundamental rights guaranteed under Article 20 and 21 of the Constitution cannot be suspended even during a national emergency. Then it removed right to property as a fundamental right to legal right of the citizens. Then it also restored the original term of 5 years of Lok Sabha and state legislature and the rules in the parliament and state legislatures on quorum. Then another important amendment is it omitted the parliamentary privileges provision regarding reference to British House of Commons. Then another amendment is provided constitutional protection to the publication of truthful accounts of legislative trials and state assemblies in a newspaper, giving freedom to newspapers to publish truthful accounts of legislative trials and state assemblies. So these are the important amendments. Now let us see what made the Janata government to put or amend the Constitution, 44th Amendment Constitution, 44th Amendment, and also why in the 44th Amendment all the important amendments that are made in 42nd Amendment are removed. So these things we have to in-depth look into it. 42nd Amendment is very important because emergency is imposed in 42nd Amendment. These amendments came into effect on 3rd January 1977. Most of the provisions and rest of them are from 1st January. Many parts of the Constitution, including the preamble and amending clause, were changed by the 42nd Amendment. Sweeping powers are given to Prime Minister's office. Parliament was given unrestrained power to amend any parts of the Constitution without judicial review. Because of this 42nd Amendment, the emergency is imposed. The emergency era had been widely unpopular. The clampdown on civil liberties and widespread abuse of human rights by police angered the public. Then the Janata Party, which had promised to restore the Constitution to the condition it was in before the emergency, won in the 1977 general elections. Then the Janata government brought about the 43rd Amendment and 44th Amendments in 1977 and 78 respectively to restore the pre-1976 position to some extent. However, the Janata Party was not able to fully achieve its objectives. In connection with this, we have to read one important judgment which we discussed earlier, that is Minerva Mills versus Union of India, which is delivered on 31st July 1980. The Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court, declared unconstitutional two provisions of the 42nd Amendment, which prevent any constitutional amendment from being called in question in any court on any ground, and accord precedence to the directive principles of state policy over the fundamental rights of individuals respectively. These two aspects, which are amended by 42nd Amendment, are held as unconstitutional as per the judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court in Minerva Mills versus Union of India, the judgment of which is delivered on 31st July 1980. So, in 42nd Amendment, made not to question any constitutional amendments in any court on any ground. This is held as unconstitutional by Honorable Supreme Court. And also giving precedence to the directive principles of state policy over the fundamental rights of individuals respectively is also struck down. Directive principles of state policy is only to guide the state to run the government, whereas fundamental rights are fundamental, given to the citizens with a remedy to approach the Honorable Supreme Court of India or High Court of India, High Courts of India, in order to get the justice to them. So, for understanding this, we need to understand the then situation or facts and circumstances due to which this amendment, 42nd Amendment, was necessitated. You know very well that judicial independence is the one of the feature of the Indian democracy and constitution. Judicial independence means that the judgments have to be delivered fearlessly. Due to giving judgments this way or that way by the judges, before the imposition of emergency and 42nd Amendment, no judge was demoted or promoted or transferred without his consent, on the ground that his judgment was damaging to the government. We must understand that in the Constitutional Assembly also, Jawaharlal Nehru, who is a member of the Constitutional Assembly, had said that the judges must be of the highest integrity, if necessary, people who can stand up against the executive government and whoever come in their way. And of civil liberties, he had written, in countries with a democratic background, the greatest value is therefore attached to civil liberties, and people of the most diverse and mutually hostile opinions joined together in a common demand to protect this foundation of all liberty and activity. This is very important. The then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, while speaking in the Constitutional Assembly as member, has categorically said that our India is a democratic country, and in countries like India, which has got democratic background, the greatest value is therefore attached to civil liberties. Civil liberties means again parliamentary rights. And people of the most diverse and mutually hostile opinions joined together in a common demand to protect this foundation of all liberty and activity. That means whatever religion you may be, whatever caste or creed you may be, we all in common demand, though we are having mutually hostile opinions, protect democratic foundation of all liberty and activity. So we believed in civil liberties. and right to say, right to freedom of speech and expression, and right to life. These are the important rights that are really there in the fundamental rights. These are the rights which Jawaharlal Nehru said as the foundation of democratic setup or democratic government. But unfortunately, his daughter, that is Mrs. Gandhi, who is the greatest leader, imposed emergency. What is the reason? The important reason is the fearless decision of a judge, a fearless judicial decision. So the emergency was to spring from a fearless judicial decision. On 12th June 1975, Justice Sinha of Allahabad High Court held that Mrs. Gandhi had been guilty of corrupt electoral practices, and it disqualified her from holding public office for 6 years, as the law obliged him to do. Then the madam approached the Honorable Supreme Court, engaging Mr. N.A. Palikiwala, eminent counsel, and he filed a stay petition asking that the nation was solidly behind as Prime Minister Mrs. Gandhi, and there were momentous consequences, disastrous to the country, if anything less than the total suspension of the order and appeal were made. So this is the prayer made by him, which is not convinced by the counsel of the judge. The judge did not accept, that is Justice Krishna Iyer did not accept this. He felt that the prayer was unwise, for if the court gave a conditional stay, public demand that she should step down as Prime Minister would grow, as in fact it did. Undeterred by the Mrs. Gandhi's position as the Prime Minister of India, or by the somewhere warning of her counsel, Krishna Iyer judge granted a conditional stay. What is that conditional stay? She was prevented from participating in the proceedings of the Lok Sabha in her capacity as member, or from receiving remuneration as a member, and was prevented from voting. So 3 aspects. She is not entitled to participate in the proceedings of the Lok Sabha in her capacity as a member. Secondly, from receiving any remuneration as a member, and also she is prevented from voting. However, in her capacity as Prime Minister, she was entitled to take part. Take part in what? She was entitled to take part in the proceedings of both houses of Parliament, except participation in the voting. So what we have to see is, with this conditional stay, political activity is started. 12th June 1975 is the date of the judgment of Justice Sinha of Allahabad High Court. Mrs. Gandhi, in order to have the support to her and show that people are with her and the decision of Justice Sinha cannot do anything against her, stage managed the rallies in Delhi, and people were brought to Delhi in public vehicles in contravention of the requirements of the law for the use of public vehicles. Government organizations were obliged to take part in these rallies. The law was applied in favor of the Congress party and against other political parties. One party's 4 sections was imposed It had become a normal feature around the Prime Minister's house. Was relaxed to allow demonstrations and rallies staged by the Congress party in support of Mrs. Gandhi. These are the things that are made to take important decisions in order to impose national emergency. What was done? Without informing to cabinet till after the emergency had been proclaimed, and without following the rules of business, work relating to the emergency provisions of our constitution was allocated to the Home Ministry. So a proposal for the proclamation of emergency should normally come from that ministry. It is not followed. The Cabinet Secretariat did not receive any proposals from the Home Ministry as to the need to proclaim any emergency. Further, the facts alleged by Mrs. Gandhi in support of her emergency are not borne out by official records. So with all this, what she did is, the Home Ministry had prepared no plans before June 25 of 1975. But just a stage managed aspects, facts were put in, and a decision is informed to the President of India to impose a national emergency. Then, with the emergency, there was arbitrary censorship and illegal preventive decision. Power of the High Courts to grant relief to the aggrieved party in appropriate cases is removed. But 9 High Courts held that although a detained person could not enforce his fundamental rights under Article 21, in view of the President's order and Article 359, he was entitled to show that the order of detention was not under or in compliance with the law or was nullified. So this is important. What has happened during emergency is that there was arbitrary censorship. First thing. Second thing is illegal preventive detention of leaders. And then fundamental rights are suspended during emergency. Direct to principles of state policy are enforced, giving a go-by to normal course of law. Then 9 High Courts held that even though Article 21 is suspended and it can't be enforced, but detention of Preventive Detention Act must be complied properly, or a detainee can show that his detention is nullified. With these two aspects, a person can approach the High Court or Supreme Court and prove that this particular decision is not in accordance with law, and so it can be struck down. They can be released. So with all these things, the writ of habeas corpus is made very powerful. So people are entitled even during emergency, though not entitled to claim fundamental rights, to prove that the law made under Article 359 to have preventive detention is not complied with, and the arrest is made illegally. by the concerned authorities with malefites in order to achieve different goals. With this, we can say what are the important amendments that are made in article under amendments 42nd and 42nd amendment. Then comes, as you said, 43rd and 44 amendments, and why they were made, we already discussed. The 43rd amendment was passed as it was essential to restore to the Supreme Court and to the High Courts the full powers they enjoyed before the emergency. Powers which had been seriously curtailed by the 42nd amendment. What are those full powers? The powers under Article 32 and 226. To Honorable Supreme Court and High Courts of India respectively. These powers are curtailed due to the by 42nd amendment. We can say that it may be added that the 43rd and 44th amendments were the result of the broad agreement between the ruling party in the House of the People and the Council of the States and Congress opposition, which was in a minority in the House of the People but held a majority in the Council of States. Reeling under the shock of electoral defeat in the parliamentary elections held in 1977 and in the state elections which followed, the Congress party agreed repeal of a large part of the amendments it had introduced by the 42nd amendment, presumably because it wished to disassociate itself with the regressive amendments, subverting the liberties of the people and also from the excesses committed during the emergency under the protection of those amendments. So, even the Congress party, which lost in the 1977 elections in the parliament and also in the state elections which followed that elections, agreed by understanding that during emergency, excesses committed under the protection of those amendments by the police and other authorities, and so it wants to disassociate itself with regressive amendments subverting the liberties of the people. So that way, what has happened is that Mrs. Gandhi, who was the Prime Minister when 42nd amendment was made, totally agreed to dissociate Congress party from the previous amendments, that is 42nd amendment, which is mini constitution, due to which the liberties of the people were subverted. Then 44th amendment, 43rd amendment was essential to restore to the Supreme Court and to the High Courts the full powers they enjoyed before the emergency. This is 43rd amendment. Then 44th amendment is a promise given by the Janata Party during the elections, and 44th amendment falls broadly into three parts. First, it repealed several articles or sub-articles introduced by the 42nd amendment. So whatever damage that is caused due to 42nd amendment, that has to be set aside or removed. So the first out of the three parts of the party's Fourth Amendment, if you speak broadly, the first part is repealing several articles or sub-articles introduced by the 42nd Amendment. Second part is it provided additional safeguards against the kind of abuse which had taken place during the emergency. And thirdly, it made amendments which were unconnected with the 39th and 42nd Amendments introduced during the emergency, namely amendments converting rights of property from a fundamental right to legal right. It also amended Article 368 in a manner which will be considered at length with reference to amendment of the Constitution. It is unfortunate that just as the 43rd Amendment was introduced as a separate measure from 44th Amendment, the 44th Amendment itself was not divided into two separate amending bills. The bill for the 44th Amendment providing for the first two parts mentioned were being introduced first, as such amendments were matter of urgency. It was necessary to introduce a separate amending bill for the 45th Amendment providing for the property amendments and the amendment of Article 368. So these things we must keep in mind. Urgently, 43rd Amendment is made, restoring power to Supreme Court and High Courts, the full powers they enjoyed before the emergency. Then thereafter, 44th Amendment, three aspects. One is repealing several articles or articles introduced by the 42nd Amendment. Second is to provide additional safeguards against the kind of abuse which had taken place during the emergency. And third is it made amendments which were unconnected with the 39 and 42nd Amendments introduced during the emergency, namely the amendments converting rights of property from a fundamental to legal right. That way, 44th Amendment has got back the